Our friends over at the Daily Signal reported some very, very welcome news to get our Friday off and running. According to their exclusive reporting, the FBI confirmed that it has severed all ties with the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, you may recall that just before the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the SPLC actually had placed his organization, Turning Point USA, on their so-called hate map, which, by the way, FRC is also on their list as well. But now the FBI is severing relationships with the SPLC. And what does all that mean in practice? Well, here now to discuss more is Tyler O'Neill. He is actually the one who broke this story. He's a senior editor at the Daily Signal and author of Making Hate Pay, the Corruption of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Tyler, welcome back to Washington Watch. We appreciate you joining us.
Thanks again for having me, Jody.
All right, this has been a long time coming. So for those who may not be aware, share with us the impact that the SPLC has had on the FBI and others for that matter.
Yeah, so I think many of your viewers will probably remember when the FBI's Richmond office released that memo targeting radical traditional Catholics and telling agents to develop sources inside houses of worship, particularly targeting those specific Catholics, more traditional Catholics. They were citing the Southern Poverty Law Center in that memo. And this is just one of many instances where the Biden Justice Department had been working closely with the Southern Poverty Law Center. Just today, actually, America First Legal is out with even more evidence, more documents showing this relationship. One of the things that really stood out to me most was that R.G. Cravens, who is a staffer at the SPLC, who recently was the guy they picked to defend their decision to add focus on the family to the hate map earlier this year. R.G. Cravens was himself advising the Department of Justice and prosecutors at one of these Department of Justice gatherings under the Biden administration. So the SPLC has had tremendous impact in the Biden administration. And now we are finally seeing, thank God Kash Patel is coming out there and saying this. By the way, the statement is not just that they cut off ties with the SPLC now, but that they have not been using SPLC data or engaging with the SPLC since the beginning of the administration. So wow. This is a great step forward. This reminds me of when then Attorney General Jeff Sessions told a group of us who had gathered for a religious freedom summit with ADF back in 2018 that the DOJ would never work with the SPLC again. Unfortunately, that promise was broken by the succeeding administration. But hopefully we can see a DOJ and an FBI that will completely distance themselves and remain distanced from such a horrific organization.
Absolutely. Tyler, do you think that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, in regard to finally removing the SPLC influence from the FBI?
Yes, I think that the fact that, talking with you about this, the Family Research Council was first targeted after the SPLC put it on the hate map, and then you had the horrific terrorist attack against you. Then, of course, there was the act of violence at the congressional baseball game where the shooter had liked the SPLC on Facebook, and now the SPLC puts Turning Point USA on the hate map, and then a couple months later, Charlie Kirk is assassinated. This really raises important questions, and I think the Southern Poverty Law Center needs to stop defaming conservatives and Christians, and this moment has been an awakening of how dangerous the SPLC is, and the FBI is now officially separated ties from them. By the way, this is also when the FBI is cutting ties with the Anti-Defamation League, which I don't know if you remember this, but back in 2024, they were doing a report on terrorism in the past year, and they said that the transgender shooter who targeted the Nashville church was not the Nashville school, sorry, the Christian school in Nashville, was not an instance of left-wing terrorism, and they really bent over backwards to rewrite history. Meanwhile, the ADL was also saying that critics of gender ideology are a threat to other Americans, and they were going to the FBI and other law enforcement saying, you need to monitor these critics of gender ideology.
Wow. Really is great news. We've got less than a minute. What happens next? What do you think needs to happen next?
Well, I've already been speaking with senators and with congressmen who are reiterating concern that Senator Tom Cotton had back in 2019. Tom Cotton wrote a letter to the IRS asking them to revisit the SPLC's tax status. We also have more evidence of the SPLC working kind of hand in glove with Antifa, not just keeping Antifa off their hate map, but also hiring a woman who is described as Antifa's secret weapon. And then, of course, an SPLC attorney was arrested at an Antifa riot in 2023 and charged with domestic terrorism. So we might be hearing an investigation into the SPLC, and I'm hoping that we can have some real accountability and some real answers to what else they're doing.
We are all hoping that, and I think your idea of an investigation is in big order. Tyler O'Neill, senior editor at Daily Signal, thank you so much.